give it a second. It's been a week. The technology might be a little rusty. Let's make sure that it's all working properly and that we are in fact live. It looks like we might be. Let's give it one more moment. Excellent. It looks like we are ready to go. So I'm so excited and happy, as always, to officially welcome you to this week's live Monday Music Motivation. Today we're going to be talking about what I call the pointless practice trap, which I think is going to be a great one to sort of get you motivated. We had a week off last week for Memorial Day. If you celebrate Memorial Day in the US, I hope that you all had a fantastic weekend. I hope you had a fantastic weekend this past weekend as well. And I hope you're excited to dive in and get going with some music motivation and having a great week of practice. So what I want to talk about today and the little bit of sort of motivation and inspiration that I want to give you is surrounding this idea of pointless practice. And what pointless practice is this phenomenon that I think most of us do at least sometimes, and I think a lot of us do a lot of the times. In fact, I'm even often guilty of this as well myself, even though I know better, because it takes a lot of work to not pointlessly practice and to instead purposefully practice. But what pointless practice is this phenomenon where you sit down to play something and you play through it and you make some mistakes. And this can happen whether you're playing through a whole piece or even if you're doing a good job of working on small sections. But you play through whatever it is that you're looking at and you notice some mistakes and you think, oh, I missed this accidental, I squeaked here, I had a bad connection here. Like, those are all things that, like, I know better, so I'll just do it again and it'll sort of fix itself. And then you do it again and maybe it did fix itself. Maybe it didn't. Maybe another mistake came up. It's a whole variety of things can happen when you try it again. But it's just chance because you didn't do anything deliberate to make it different. Because you just sort of assumed that you could do it right if you did it again. It may or may not have gotten better that time. If it didn't get better, then it means that you don't know what you need to do to make it better, and it's still a problem. So you're going to do it again, and you're going to do it again, and you're going to do it again, and you're going to get stuck in that loop of frustration. And if you've ever been frustrated in your practice, this is why. Because you've expected that you could do something, but you haven't been able to do it. Now, on the other hand, maybe it does fix itself and go right, and you're like, okay, cool, I'm good enough to be able to do that. That's great. However, the chance of it going wrong again in the future are very, very high if you're doing that pointless practicing because you didn't actually figure out why it went better. And that's that important missing step. If you think, oh, I made like just a little silly mistake, I can just do it again and it'll be better, that's great. But why? You always need to be asking yourself, why? And I think that's kind of the flip side to this, which the opposite of pointless practice is what I'm calling purposeful practice. And purposeful practice is where you have that sort of deeper reflection, that why, that purpose behind everything that you're doing. So say you play through something and you miss an accidental. You think to yourself, oh shoot, I missed that accidental. Because it's in the key signature, I need to pay attention to the key signature. And just by thinking about the key signature, it engages parts of the brain that sort of bring that to your awareness. And then every time you're playing that piece in the future, you're going to be thinking about, oh yes, this is the key signature. And then you'll have much more consistency when it comes to getting that accidental correct. So it's all about that little bit of deeper reflection of like, why did this go wrong? What do I need to do to fix it? How do I fix it? And not just saying like, this is the problem, I can probably just do it again and hope that it's going to get better, which will either lead to frustration or inconsistency. So hopefully that makes sense, sort of the difference between pointless practice and purposeful practice. And I hope that you can sort of apply that in your playing and start thinking, am I actually practicing with a purpose? Do I have a reason for doing this? And the beauty of this is when you start to find that reason and you start knowing why you're doing what you're doing, why you're getting the results that you're getting, or lack of results that you're wanting to get, and what you need to be doing differently to get better results, then practice becomes so much more satisfying. We have this idea that when we're practicing, it's just kind of doing reps at our ability level. And you think that the quality of your practice is dependent on the quality of your musicianship and sort of the level of clarinetist or whatever instrument or musician you're at. But that's actually not the case. The quality of practice should be measured by how much you're growing and how much you're improving. So actually, beginners sometimes have more opportunity for technically better quality of practice than professionals because they have more room to grow and can make bigger improvements much more quickly. However, when you're pointless practicing, practice is pointless and frustrating because you're just sort of repeating where you're at, and you end up stagnating because you're just doing the same thing that you've always been doing, and you sort of level off and just reinforce what kind of player you are. If you think, oh, I'm not good at crossing the break, and then as you're practicing, you have an issue crossing the break, and you're like, oh, yep, that's the thing that I'm not good at. You just sort of reinforce that cycle and continue being frustrated with it. Whereas if you're purposely practicing, you say, oh, I didn't cross the break well. Why didn't that happen? And again, that's the key behind purpose. Purpose is all about why. So in purposeful practicing, ask yourself, why didn't that go well? And then you can see like, oh, maybe my fingers didn't coordinate well, or, oh, maybe I need to have more air support on the B because it's a more resistant note, whatever it might be. And then you have something that you can actually tangibly be in control of, improving and shifting and making difference to actually make a difference in the playing. And then once you know, oh, if I think about coordinating my fingers and I relax the fingers a little bit so I land on the holes a little bit better, it comes out better. Now that's something that you can latch onto, what I call sort of a solidified solution, so that you can recreate that in the future. And next thing you know, you don't build in that identity of, oh, I'm just not good at crossing the break, so I'm just always going to not be able to cross the break smoothly. And you start to think, sometimes I cross the break well, sometimes I don't, but I know why, and I know what I need to do differently to improve it. And that's where the satisfaction comes in, is in that feeling of I'm in control, I know what I'm doing and why I'm doing it, and then you're able to make progress. So I hope that gives you a little bit of an idea of what to be thinking about in your practice to make it less frustrating, more enjoyable, and actually more productive as well. I hope that you experiment with that this week and really think about why every single time you're practicing. And last but not least, make sure that you fill out your practice template. I didn't get mine filled out yet, but I can still show you sort of how to fill it out. So this is what it looks like, and you can go to quickstartclarinet.com/get started to download this exact template. Oh, I accidentally switched to a different app, and now it's updating, so we'll give that a second to update. But basically all of the practice template is the date for the week, the reflection of how things are going, your goal for this week, and then what you're actually going to do. So that's what it'll look like. You can recreate it for yourself, or again, go to that link in the description to download it. But all you're going to put is like, this week is June 3rd, so 6-3 for the week. Reflection of what you're working on, how things are going, what is feeling good, what isn't feeling good, and then a very specific and tangible goal for what you want to accomplish this week. These measures in this piece, this fundamental thing, I want to focus on clearer articulation, whatever that goal is, and make it not like too big of a goal, not a year goal, but just literally like one thing that if you achieve this week, you would feel like an accomplishment. And then your plan is probably the most important part, where you're going to put which days you're going to practice, what times you're going to practice, and what you're going to practice, so that you have something to easily go to be like, okay, it's my Tuesday practice time. This is the time that I'm practicing. I'm sticking to that appointment. This is what I'm practicing, and I'm going to focus on that. And I'm going to ask myself, why are the little mistakes happening? how can I play this better? How can I practice with purpose so that you can have that satisfying practice every single session this week? And then take that plan, put it in your calendar, put it in your planner so that you really stick to it. So that's the Monday Music Motivation. I hope that that gives you some insights for some things to focus on this week and to have a great week of practice. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments, and I will see you next week for the next live Monday Music Motivation. Have a great rest of your day and a great week of practice.